After reviewing many budget and value keyboards and desktop audio gear upgrades for your setup in 2023 in my previous 2 videos in this series, we're now closing it with some home office furniture and accessories I chose to improve my own home setup earlier this year, and which you could use too. Hello and welcome to IOSam. I'm Sam Franco, and this is a channel where I do tech reviews and show you how to build, fix, and mod all sorts of computer gear. In today's video, we are checking out a bunch of quality of life upgrades to your home office setup. These parts were the ones I picked for myself late last year to revamp my own setup and improve my productivity when working from home, as well as to improve my comfort for gaming, movie watching, and music listening. I think that a lot of the considerations I did when selecting these parts are likely applicable to many of you watching now, since all of them are the result of some painstaking research not only on features and build quality, but also on price. So sit back and enjoy my personal journey to expand and improve my home office in 2023, and maybe take some notes of things you could also apply to your own setup. As for disclaimers, all parts being reviewed in this video today were provided to me by their manufacturers or vendors as a result of my request to them for review samples, after a lot of research on what would work for my very space-constrained home office setup. But as my regular viewers already know, the way review samples are obtained in this channel doesn't change absolutely anything in my views and opinions or on how I express them. As usual, there will be links for everything in the video description below, and many of those will be affiliate links that can generate revenue to help support this channel without any additional cost to you if you decide to use them. But that also doesn't affect the context or the content of my videos in any way. So let's start with the bases here, where almost everything else will go on top of, the desk. And for that, I decided to go with FlexiSpot E8, their new standing desk with oval-shaped legs. But before we jump into my product of choice, let me quickly explain here why I feel that at this point in 2023, I can no longer work on a regular desk that doesn't have a motorized stand-up feature. I got my first stand-up desk in 2015, when products in this category were still a bit difficult to find, and good ones used to cost an exorbitant amount of money. Which is why, at that time, I went with an IKEA BenQ standing electric desk, which was the cheapest option I could find back then, and would cause me all sorts of problems because of a design flaw in their power supply that would take me 4 years to finally be able to resolve it. But after I managed to obtain a replacement for its defective original power supply that used to fail to lift the desk most of the time, I have to say that I fell in love with the ability to not only work standing up a few times a day to stretch my legs and get my blood flowing, but also the ability to easily get under my desk to route cables. If you tinker with your setup as much as I do, you probably understand what I'm talking about here. Since then, I felt I could no longer work 8 or more hours a day just sitting all day long. And while this IKEA standing desk is still working for me to this day, it is a very bare bones one with no memory or no smart features whatsoever. So while it has lasted for more than 7 years now, when I decided to get a new one for my second setup, where I do a lot of my work for this channel now, I knew exactly what I needed to avoid some of the problems I had with my IKEA model before. Stronger legs to minimize wobble, a strong motor to handle multiple monitors and other tools, and smart features to help me easily adjust its height were on the top of my list. Oh, and if it could look a bit nicer than my IKEA desk too, that would also be appreciated. And since I only have this tiny area of my little man cave, a standing desk would also allow me to not only have a bit more space to film my unboxing footage and peripherals tinkering, all while keeping access to my pegboard and the wall behind it with most of my tools, but also to finally install 2 of my vintage computers running older versions of Windows, which I intend to use to start reviewing vintage keyboards, mice, and other retro gaming and audio gear here in the channel soon. And this is how I got to this FlexiSpot oval-shaped standing desk E8, where the oval-shaped here refers to the shape of the desk's legs and not the desk top. The assembly process was easy enough that I could do most of it on my own, by assembling it upside down and then only needing another set of helping hands to flip it to its standing position. Everything came properly tagged and the instructions manual was clear and well written. You will need to bring your own Phillips screwdriver to complete the assembly. You might also want to use a drill if you want to install the optional cable tray that I got here. The whole assembly took me about 40 minutes to complete on my own. The FlexiSpot E8 dual motor lifting system can handle a maximum loading capacity of 125 kilograms or 275 pounds, which was quite a bit more than the 70 kilograms that my IKEA BenQ can take. And this was a crucial aspect to me since I wanted to have the flexibility to load up this desk with a lot of gear. including a desktop tower, such as my vintage AMD Athlon 64-based Windows 98 machine, something I cannot do on my IKEA desk, where I keep my big production PC tower on the floor. Don't worry, it is sitting on top of a wheeled Oracle cart to keep it away from the floor's dust. Here I went with the bamboo top, which measures 1.4 meters in width and 70 centimeters in depth, which was perfect for the tight spot I needed to fit the desk in. But FlexiSpot offers a wide range of finishes, colors, and sizes of desktops for you to choose from. The motorized frame can sit as low as 60 centimeters from the ground, up to 1.25 meter tall. All the cables stay properly hidden inside of the provided baffle. The optional cable tray helps to keep most of the power strips and wall warts out of the way, and the drawer helps to keep all the small desk trinkets organized when not in use. Everything here feels super sturdy and high quality, and gives me the confidence this setup will be with me for the long run. One of the best traits of this desk is how smooth it moves up and down, and how much more stable it is than my older IKEA desk. It even has this slight acceleration and deceleration when it starts and stops, which is a nice way to ensure all your stuff on top of the desk doesn't get jolted by an abrupt stop. The dual motor lifting system is also far quieter than my IKEA one, which is a plus. And then there is its keypad with a touch interface, which is another huge upgrade in terms of ease of use and quality of life when compared to what I was used to with my IKEA desk. Here the table shows you the exact position it is in its bright and easy to read display. And besides the up and down arrows, it also gives you 4 memory positions so you can program your sit and stand heights, plus 2 more intermediary positions for yourself or a partner or coworker. The table has 3 levels of sensitivity adjustment for its anti-collision feature, so you can dial in how quick the table should stop when it hits an obstacle on its way up or down. Oh, and it also has a child lock function as well to prevent little Timmy from having too much fun playing with the desk controls. The keypad has one USB port that you can use to recharge your phone and other mobile devices, which is a nice touch. As for accessories, FlexiSpot offers, besides different desktop materials and sizes, a bunch of optional stuff such as cable management kits and these spines to help you route cables from the top of the desk all the way to the floor. While I didn't get the FlexiSpot's branded cable spines, I got this one from Vivo on Amazon that does the same thing. You can also order casters, power strips with more USB outlets, storage compartments, desk organizers, such as this bamboo set I got here, drawers in different sizes, colors and materials, plus a bunch of other interesting stuff. So, as I explained earlier, my goal when getting a new desk for my small man cave here was to have not only more space to shoot top-down footage for the channel, but also use it as a secondary workspace for my macOS laptop and vintage computers, for whenever I happen to test Mac-compatible or vintage PC peripherals for my future retro computing content I have planned for the channel, such as the boatload of vintage mechanical keyboards, mice, removable storage devices, and other old gaming peripherals I have in my ever-growing collection. This new area will also host my soldering equipment, as well as another microphone attached to an Elgato Wave mic arm for whenever I need to record from this setup instead of my main Windows 10 workstation. Having all my tools around this desk will also streamline my keyboard building and modding work, which will be nice. And this will be where I'll do some live streams in the future, as well as allow me to finally have a proper space for some retro gaming sessions. So, needless to say, adding this new desk to my little cave will be a huge productivity upgrade for my work on this channel. Who should consider getting this standing desk? Well, anyone doing any serious work from home should consider a good ergonomic setup, and I'm convinced that sitting all day long will have serious consequences for one's health in the long run. Besides taking regular breaks, keeping yourself hydrated, and going out for some fresh air and sunlight at least once a day, developing the habit of cycling between sit and standing positions for work will have a huge impact on your well-being, both your body and mental health. And as far as the competition for these types of desks go, sure, there are plenty of options out there in all price segments. But from my research, the E8 from FlexiSpot offered the best mix of features, looks, build quality, and price. Stuff like having a display on its keypad, for example, is a great feature that most other models I researched in this same price range don't have. FlexiSpot's 15 years limited warranty on the desk's frame, motor, and controller, and 5 years for the desktop is also longer than most other competitors I've researched. Also, FlexiSpot's line of standing desks include many other premium models in the E line, such as the popular E7 with square-shaped legs, as well as the Q, the Comhar, the Kenna, and the Siphon lines. So you're sure to find a model that can fit not only your home office space, but also your budget. And you get 30 days to try it and then return if you don't like it. If you are an entrepreneur in the market for a reliable OEM or contract manufacturing partner to help you bring your next product design to life, did you know PCBWay has exactly what you're looking for? If you have a design for lighting, security or medical equipment, home or kitchen appliances, or other types of electronics, PCBWay can manufacture your product under your specifications and help you to bring your creations to market quicker and with higher quality, all while enjoying the flexibility and cost savings that are only possible through OEM economies of scale in PCB production and assembly, injection molding, CNC machining, and sheet metal fabrication. With 11 factories and over 2,800 employees, as well as access to the best component suppliers in the industry, PCBWay is a uniquely qualified one-stop shop that can assist you through the entire process of designing, manufacturing, testing, and packing fully assembled devices that are ready for shipment. Check out the link in the description below for more information and OEM case studies, or to contact PCBWay's team of engineers, designers, and production specialists for a quote. And huge thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. The second essential item to my new setup, and to any setup these days really, was a good dual monitor arm system that gave me the flexibility to position and reposition my monitors as often as I need without much trouble. And after a lot of research, I landed on AVLT's dual 13 to 32 inches stacked monitor arms. My number one reason to use these is for space. I have to admit that I am not a minimalistic guy on my setups. I mean, I love watching that minimalistic guy's videos and his beautifully clean setups, but that's just not possible for me with the type of work I do around here. And because I have a very small home office space, I have to optimize every inch of desktop area. And for that, I need to suspend my monitors so their stands don't occupy desk space that I can use for other things, especially when using 2 or even 3 screens. And they have the added benefit of making your desk look super clean, of course, which is always a nice bonus. So for my new desk setup that I intend to use for top-down video shooting, workshop area for modding peripherals, and for playing around with my vintage gear and retro games, I needed a dual arm setup that was sturdy and easy to adjust. And if it could look good in the process, all the better. So let me go through this AVLT dual stacked arms and show you why I picked this one after checking so many other alternatives. As the name implies, you can mount 2 screens with this system, using either VESA 75 or 100mm holes, and they can range from 13 to 32 inches screens weighing up to 8 kilograms or 17.6 pounds per screen, which is quite a lot. You can use the C-clamp like I did here, or use a grommet mount in case you prefer to drill a hole on your desktop. The gas spring arms are very easy to reposition, and together with the almost half a meter tall pole, they allow you to lift screens as high as 70 centimeters tall, or 28 inches, measured from the center of the VESA mount to the surface of your desk, which is very high, and is exactly what I needed to allow me to keep a smaller 4x3 vintage Acer panel, which I use with one of my retro gaming PCs, to stay out of the way when I'm not using it, and then be able to easily bring it to the center when I need it. These arms look really nice too, with their nice powder-coated metal finish and integrated cable channels. As you'd expect for any decent monitor arm today, here you get all the basics such as swivel, tilting, and 360 degrees rotation. And because the arms have 2 segments, they give you basically limitless possibilities for positioning both screens. The assembly process was super easy and perfectly doable by one person. You first place the clamp, then attach the pole and tighten the locking screw. Then you slide in the 2 arms and tighten their locking mechanisms with the provided Allen key. Then you attach the VESA mounts to your screens. You need to bring your own screwdriver here. Then you just slide the screen into the arms mounting plate and attach its locking screw. You can attach and route each panel's cables through the integrated cable gutters. Once all screens are in place, just loosen or tighten up the screws that regulate how smooth or stiff the movements should be according to your needs. In my case, I made sure the swiveling joints were not too stiff, so I could easily place them in whatever angle I need depending on which machine I'm using or what kind of work I'm performing on this desk. While my panels were nothing extremely heavy, the tilting joints here are super robust and are beyond capable of holding both my 27 and 19 inches screen in whatever angle I want without drooping. The other good thing about how long these dual segment arms are is that I can extend the screen really far from the main post if I need to. I think anyone who wants to optimize their desk space should consider replacing their monitor's stock stands for a mounting arm if it is within their budgets. And that's the nice thing about the AVLT line of arms. They have countless different models in all sorts of different configurations. The other nice thing, they're priced very competitively and built extremely well. And if you don't need a system that holds multiple screens or that can lift them as high as the model I'm using here, you can get other smaller models for even less money. Now let's move on to a great value ergonomic chair I got from Kerdom, the KD-9060, that has a regular price of $180 on Amazon for my small bedroom setup. Ergonomic chairs is one of those things that you have countless options, from the cheapest ones you can get from the office supply store, all the way to hundreds or even thousands of dollars for brand name designer models. And while I use a very good Xiaomi mesh ergonomic chair that I paid $350 from BenQ almost 2 years ago for my long hours when working from home, I don't think you need to spend that kind of money for a decent ergonomic chair that covers the basics very well in terms of comfort and ergonomics. For the small computer setup I share with my wife in our bedroom, I picked this Kerdom KD-9060H last year that not only looks great in this white frame color, but also offers the super important meshed back, plus a comfy breathable seat that is cool and comfortable to use even in the hottest days of South Florida summer. The assembly here was also super easy, that I could pull it off myself. All parts came well packed and tagged with clear instructions and included the necessary Allen tool to put it together. This chair has adjustable lumbar support and headrest, flip-up arms for those who like to sit crossing their legs, and all the basic height and swivel adjustments you expect for a good office chair. The seat here is foam, but after 9 months of daily use, for at least a couple of hours every night, this seat still has the same shape with no deformation whatsoever. The breathable mesh back and fabric used on the seat and padded arms is what I consider essential for a good office or home office chair, especially if you live in a warm climate like I do, since the last thing you want when you're working or gaming is to be seated for hours in a hot, sweaty chair. While there are millions of options for gaming and office chairs online these days, my suggestion would be to always go with the nicest real office chair you can afford, since gaming chairs usually go for looks only, being overpriced and less comfortable than their office counterparts. There are exceptions, of course, but I have yet to find a nice, comfortable and cool gaming chair that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And if you decide to go with an office chair, the Ergo line from Kerdom is a good pick for its regular price. Moving on now to some quality desk lighting, my pick was the BenQ ScreenBar Plus that goes for $139 that I got in August of last year and have been using it daily ever since, and that I honestly cannot do without it at this point. In both my home office and bedroom setups, I use these types of desk lights that you mount on top of your monitor and that can shine a soft light directly on your keyboard and mouse area. Even if you have backlit keys in your keyboard, which I know many of you do, desk lights can do more than just illuminate your keyboard, such as helping you find things on your desk, read paper documents, and even find your beverage without stumbling and spilling Mountain Dew all over your nice desk mat. But then, at the same time, these lamps don't cast a harsh light that can cause glare and reflections on your computer screen. And that's where BenQ's original design of the ScreenBar Plus comes in clutch. This lamp sits on top of your monitor and is basically invisible, taking no valuable space on your desk. And yet, it can shine as much light as you need directly where it matters, without visible bulbs that obfuscate and blind you. The BenQ ScreenBar has this convenient remote control with a dial that allows you to adjust brightness and color temperature, plus a smart function that will read the amount of light in your room and then automatically provide the ideal brightness level with a single push of a button. This lamp is super easy to install. You just slide the cylindrical shaped light into its clamp-style mount, and then place it on top of your monitor by adjusting the non-slip weight in the back to balance the light assembly. Then, connect the little puck-shaped remote to the light through the back of your monitor, and then plug its power cord to any USB Type-A charger. The light is made of aluminum alloy and can be easily rotated for you to get the best angle of light projection to your workspace. And its remote is heavy enough and has a grippy base that won't slide on your desk. The dial is notched and feels super high quality. This is a very premium piece of kit, and the most important part here, the quality of the light itself, is fantastic. You can go from top brightness to super dim or anything in between with no flicker and zero reflections. And for the content creators among you, this light also does not show any flickering through your camera, which is an important thing for streamers. While I have screen lights on both my bedroom and main home office setups, in the bedroom it is even more useful, as it allows me and my wife to use that small area without needing any other lights to be on in the room, which is great when the other is sleeping or watching a movie in bed. Put a good silent keyboard and some closed-back headphones to go along with this, and no one will even notice you're gaming at 3 in the morning. Not that that is something I would do, but it might be useful for you. And now to another BenQ product, their new wireless portable speaker with a fancy microphone and a bunch of smart features. When working from home, I put my laptop on the side of my main desktop setup to use it with different tasks as a way to reduce the distraction from my main work in front of me, but still have access to, say, social media and other email accounts if I want to. Another thing I use it for is for video calls and conferences, which I prefer to run in a separate machine than my production one. But as we all know, laptop built-in cameras, speakers, and microphones are usually not the best, right? So for the camera, I got a Razer Kiyo Pro that has far higher video and microphone quality than the integrated camera on my Razer Blade 14. But that still left me with the built-in speaker situation to deal with. And for that, until recently, I was using this small and relatively cheap Logitech Z50 wired active speaker for whenever I need to get decent audio from the laptop without putting on a headphone. But while this tiny speaker actually sounded pretty good for its price and size, it had the inconvenience of requiring a 3.5mm connection and a wall wart. So when BenQ came out with its new treVolo U wireless speaker with an integrated microphone that could work both as a laptop speaker and a conference/speaker phone, I was intrigued. This small speaker can be used both wired with a 3.5mm jack or wireless via Bluetooth 5.0. Its internal battery offers 12 hours of continuous play. It is slightly wider than the Logitech Z50 I was using before, but shorter in height, and it fitted the same spot under the tray where I keep my laptop mounted on my desk. The list of features on this thing is pretty impressive for its size. As a speaker, you have 3 sound modes. A music or entertainment mode for you to use with music and videos, which has a nice and rich bass, a video learning mode with a bit less bass and more focus on the mid frequencies to enhance human voice, and what they call a live learning mode, which is basically a conference call or speakerphone mode, where it activates its integrated enhanced microphone and cuts all bass and treble from the speaker, leaving only the mids for you to be able to clearly hear calls with no muddiness or piercing high-pitched noises. It also has what they call a safe volume feature that will measure the distance between you and the speaker and then auto-adjust its volume, as well as its own voice assistant called treDo. treDo, not Greedo. I know. Weird name, but after what Amazon did with the A word, I get that BenQ did not want to use a real person's name for their assistant. This assistant can be used to adjust volume, mute, and change the speaker modes with a single button press and a voice command if you prefer not to hunt for each function-specific button.
Voice command is turned on.
Hey treDo, switch to live learning mode. Hey treDo, set volume up.
Now, while the main focus of this device is its conference call features, the actual speaker part is very good. In its music and entertainment mode, it has a very pleasant bass response, definitely better than the Logitech Z50 I was using before. Now, it isn't as boomy and loud as a JBL speaker designed specifically for party music though, but it is loud enough for its intended application here. At 60% volume, it is plenty loud for YouTube videos, for example. In its learning mode, the reduced bass and boosted mids work very well for podcasts or talk shows. And in its conference mode, while it will sound more like a speakerphone with no bass and treble, it can be very loud and clear for video or phone calls. Its microphone can pick up my voice from a comfortable distance from where the speaker sits on my desk.
Leaves are falling all around. It's time I was on my way.
Thanks to you, I'm much obliged for such a pleasant stay. But now it's time for me to go.
The autumn moon lights my way. For now I smell the rain, and with it pain, and it's headed my way.
It doesn't have the full frequency response sound from my Razer Kiyo Pro's mic, so my voice comes out with a phone call-like EQ, which has only the mid frequencies. But it has a very good range and makes my voice sound very clear and perfectly intelligible on the other end. The build quality of this speaker is top-notch, as anything BenQ does. It has a thick plastic body and metal grille, while the base is lined with rubber to avoid sliding in your desk. And it is quite heavy at 736 grams or 1 pound and 10 ounces. So this speaker basically solved all my Sidekick laptop audio needs. It is the perfect solution for music and videos on this auxiliary setup. With this Bluetooth connection and 12 hours of continuous use and battery, I can move this speaker around my desk or anywhere else in my office. And with its enhanced microphone, I have an easy way to jump in calls with minimal setup time. The treVolo's conference mode is very convenient for a quick Zoom call on my computer, or even a speakerphone conversation using my mobile phone, without any wires or hassle. Now, this is not a cheap product for its $209 price, of course, especially if you consider that there are other much cheaper, albeit less elegant ways to address the same problems that this product sets out to resolve. But if you got to a point where your home office real estate is so valuable that you might be willing to go for the best in terms of portability, quality, convenience, and features, then this might be it. And finally, let's move on to some interesting and useful small accessories that can make a big difference in your productivity as well as organizing and cleaning your desk. The first is this compact desktop vacuum that is rechargeable via USB-C. While I do have a big Shark upright vacuum and even a robot vacuum that takes care of the floor, sometimes I need something smaller, quicker, and easier to use for those times when you just need to dust something on your desk or on a shelf real quick. And this little vacuum has been a godsend. It fits in a small drawer with its rotatable handle and different size nozzles, and is ready to suck the dust out of my keyboards, printers, and desktop in seconds, instead of the time it would take me to assemble my full-blown upright vacuum. It is shaped like a gun, and it has 3 speeds that you can select by holding its trigger. Its 90 watts motor is powerful enough to inflate air mattresses if you want, so it is definitely powerful enough to clean up my desktop. And as its name implies, you can use it either as a vacuum, where the dust and debris stays trapped on the filter, or as an air duster that will blow out air through the opposite end. While I have a semi-industrial air blower in my workshop to ensure my shots come out dust-free, that one is not wireless, so it still requires a little bit of a setup, unlike this little gun. And while compressed air cans have more pressure, they also cost a fortune and don't last very long. So for easier dusting jobs, having a rechargeable blower like this can make a lot more sense. It has a 7500 milliamp hour battery that has lasted me about 10 days of quick cleaning jobs around my home office, and that takes about 2 hours to fully recharge. I use this little guy just around my home office that has so much surface collecting dust everywhere. And since this is easier to use and maintain and far more effective than microfiber cloths, I have retired my pile of cleaning rags. Sure, for heavier cleaning jobs, you still have to fall back to cloth or paper towels and isopropyl alcohol. But for your average keyboard, monitor, and desk mat cleaning job, this Meco vacuum is way more convenient to use. And the final accessory is this KXRORS wall-mounted keyboard storage shelf that I got late last year. Gotta say, I was a bit skeptical about it in the beginning, but this thing ended up being a bit of a lifesaver in my small home office area. In simple terms, this is a wall-mounted keyboard shelf with space for 2 boards. And while that sounds like a simple idea, it's something I had actually never come across before. So here you get 2 metal rails you fixate to your wall, to which you can then slide these down-angled arms, which will hold your keyboards. And the cool thing here is that it works both as keyboard storage and showcase at the same time. The whole thing is made out of metal with solder joints and a powder coating type of finish that looks very industrial, but that I actually like. Now, the worst part of something like this is that it requires wall drilling, which can make the assembly part a bit complicated if you don't have the tools for the job. While this kit has the screws and anchors you need, you have to bring your own measurement and drilling gear. So here I used a Bosch cross-line laser level to ensure I was drilling in a perfect vertical position. You know, measure twice, drill once, and a cordless impact driver to do the job. Then you're just supposed to slide the arms into the slits of the wall rails. But here I decided to fix a design problem with these shelves, which had a rather loose coupling with the rails because of the large tolerance between the cutouts in the rails and the little brackets in the arms. So the arms had quite a large swing from side to side, and they would also make some metal clanking noises when moving. What I did here to fix these was to wrap silicone stretch and seal self-fusing tape around the brackets to make them bigger, and thus having a slightly better fit into the wall-mounted rails. I guess you could say I gasket-mounted my keyboard shelf? Anyway, after that mod, the swing range was slightly reduced and the noise was gone, so I think the end result here was good enough. While the fully metal build here is great, the tolerances definitely have room for improvement. Another problem here is that I wish they had included at least another set of arms with this kit, since the wall-mounted rails are totally capable of taking at least a third keyboard as it is. But even with these flaws, this ends up being a quite unique solution to a problem that, granted, not a lot of people have. But for those of us who have more than one keyboard that we like to rotate between work and gaming, for example, something like this can be pretty handy. While at it, I also got a few acrylic dust protectors for some of my boards that would sit there, since even premium keycaps will feel like crap with a thick dust layer on top. While this particular wall-mounted shelf implementation is far from perfect, I hope this manufacturer, or others, take this idea and improve upon it in terms of design, manufacturing tolerances, and ease of installation. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this look into these different types of products I covered in these home office focused videos. Please let me know in the comments if this is something you like and if you think I should do more of it, since I have a ton of stuff like this to show if you guys happen to be interested in. As usual, any questions or comments, just leave them below or on my subreddit and I'll be there to help. Links for everything are in the video description below as always. And if you missed parts 1 and 2 of this home office upgrades for the New Year series, check them out here and here. Thanks for watching and see you all soon.